Welcome back to the Après Business Podcast. Join your host, Rebecca Babicz, founder of Fall Line Digital, as we dive deeper than ever into conversations with the founders, marketers, and innovators shaping the outdoors. Let's jump into today's episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Après Business Podcast. I'm so excited for today's guest, Robin Vieira Brower. Robin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Becca. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited for this episode. So tell us, what do you do?
Oh gosh, that's such a simple question, but also a loaded question at the same time. I am both a professional runner as well as marketing director at Oiselle. So I exist in that dual territory of athlete and marketer. So my world 24/7 more or less revolves completely around running, which creates a lot of exciting opportunities to just exist and thrive in the place that I love and have passion for, and a lot of constant practice to practice work-life balance and separation, healthy separation and whatnot. But I live in Bend, Oregon, so have trails right outside my door. And Outside of running, I play the violin, which is a fun fact that not many people know about me. Um, but yeah, my days are spent, I train in the morning, work on a computer during the day, and then sometimes train after work too. And lots of running nonstop, more or less.
So tell me the 60-second story of how you got your job at Oiselle.
I have a background working in marketing and branding and product and sports and outdoor. And after a number of years working in-house for a few different brands and working for agencies, I started an agency in creative strategy with my husband, and we were doing that for the past 3 years. I saw Oiselle had an opening for a contract position that I had planned to kind of funnel through my business, and I had an amazing conversation with them, and they somehow convinced me, which wasn't hard to do, to accept a full-time position as senior marketing manager at the time for the brand, which after a few months catapulted into marketing director, because we have a big year ahead of us, lots of growth opportunities. And so I find myself in this seat, and I'm super grateful to be here.
Last time we talked, you said it was kind of serendipitous and it was just very easy. And sometimes it feels like you're pushing a rock up a mountain or a boulder up a mountain, and other times things flow like a river, and this felt very easy for you.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's no surprise it is a tough job market out there right now. And I have been in the role of like trying to find a new job and, things not working or it being hard. And I've also been in the role where things just fall into place. And this was one of those moments where I was not seeking it necessarily. And it just, yeah, it fell into place and felt supernatural and easy, which I'm beyond grateful for.
So tell me more about Oiselle. Tell me the problem that you guys solve for women runners.
Yeah, so Oiselle, for anyone who doesn't know, is a for women by women performance running brand. We make apparel for women at all stages of their life who are runners, and we encourage anyone who runs anything from a mile where they walk part of it to running professionally to call themselves a runner. The problems we solve on the product side are mostly geared toward making apparel work for women's bodies, much beyond, what people typically have talked about in the past of like shrinking it and pinking it. We're yes, and taking a step beyond that, really going as far and deep into the product testing world as we can to hear from our female athletes and wear testers and users to figure out what are the needs and problems that are so true and core to women at different stages of her life and different transition moments she might experience that we can solve for in making running and running adjacent. We're thinking about women who are breastfeeding, nursing, who are in the transitional phase where they just gave birth and are trying to figure out how to re-enter the world of sport. We're thinking about women who are, graduating from high school and heading into college and trying to figure out what this space looks like for them. So it definitely starts and ends in the product world for us, but it goes also in the journey of start to end. Like there's so much we can do when it comes to policy, when it comes to brand storytelling and messaging to evoke her being our target consumer to um, just really reconsider and identify and lean into what it means to be a female athlete.
I love that. I love that so much. I mean, I was going to ask, tell me more about the brand before we jump into tactics, but I feel like you fully
I
covered
couldn't help it.
that. Uh, so Oiselle, how long has Oiselle been around? Remind me.
A while. We started in '07, so we were one of the first brands to take a leap into policy and advocacy for female athletes when it comes to competition, pay, compensation, things like that. So that's something that we came out with a bang back then. I say we as if I was with the brand. Obviously, I wasn't, but there's this legacy story that we're really proud of, and at an interesting moment right now where we're trying to figure out, how to carry that legacy through, but also evolve the brand into new Oiselle. Um, so we started in '07, had a handful of really strong years, and then down the road, COVID hit, and the running industry boomed, and we experienced, as so many other brands did, just like a moment of how do we move through this interesting life moment that everyone is in, and made some decisions that like both catapulted us and set us back. And the brand's gone through some ownership changes, and about a year ago, Margot Kramer um, became majority shareholder and owner. So we became like once again fully women owned and leaning into the by women for women everything ethos. And now Margot is owner, majority shareholder, and CEO. So we've had some leadership changes over the past few months and are now kind of re-entering a really, really interesting, exciting brand repositioning moment, which I'm like so jazzed for and pumped for and excited to share more.
Tell us more. I mean, it's such a legacy brand. It's like it's been around for so long. That's why I was asking. So I was like, how long has it actually been around for? 2007.
Mm.
And then like you said, kind of that COVID boom pop, lots of new running brands entered the space. Running became big again. I feel like it's gone through all the phases where,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's that fundamental sport that you can do from anywhere. So I think that's why it's just so simple, right? So I think it will always have that mass appeal. But yeah, I'm super curious to hear about your thoughts on what some of the newer brands that are coming in this space are doing right versus your edge maybe as a legacy brand and this new innovation of where you guys are going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before I joined Oiselle, like I've just been kind of obsessed and just really interested by the peak in the running, the boom in the running culture, and like for sure races and competition and trail and road and everything in between. But the rise of all these D2C brands, like post pandemic, but also sort of mid pandemic, has just been fascinating. And I've always been like applauding them on, cheering them on, because we finally have a ton of great brands to compete with, like the Nikes and the Adidas and the bigger brands, iconic brands that have been running for so long. And there's like I always go back to, I think that a lot of those D2C like micro running brands, maybe not so micro anymore, one of the things that they've just figured out how to do really well is community and go back to like, what does it mean to um, really have strong grassroots marketing? Have your athletes still lead the brand, but also dig really, really deeply into community run. I mean, run clubs are just like such a trendy thing right now, which is amazing. And I think that's a huge way you pull in, you create more runners because you invite them to be a part of, like you said, this thing that is so simple. So I think the brands that have really figured that out have done really well. And then aside from that, there's just the creative world. I'm also, aside from being a marketer, a creative, and I think the creative world has totally taken advantage in a good way of how accessible running is and just getting really um, crafty with shoot concepts and production moments and figuring out the right balance between, more produced high res content and storytelling and long form video with UGC content, and then this weird world where it's like looks like it's UGC, but it's actually high res, and then the whole motion blur thing. Like there's a whole world.
Try, but don't try too hard. But then
Yeah.
also you need to actually try a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Um, so I mean, in the product development, I know we're supposed to be talking about marketing, but like hard to market things that aren't strong products too at the same time. And the time and time again, what I keep hearing is tried and true is develop products that are backed by a strong product testing and wear testing program, whether that's athletes or everyday users. And so that's something that we at Oiselle are really going to be leaning deeply, deeply into. And
Yeah. 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 Because I think that's where it's like the lifetime value and the repeat customer rate. It's like you, as a marketer, you might have strong enough marketing to get first acquisition and get somebody to buy that product because you sold them on the cool or you sold them on, whatever. But like to get that repeat customer is like you really need to have a product that they fall in love with, that they want to come back and they buy again and again. And I think running is like one of those sports too, where if you find a pair of shorts that you like, go back, you would go back and buy that short like in 5 different colors because it just works for you. And it's actually really, I'm always so it's like it's such a simple like running shorts, for example, is such a simple product, but for whatever reason it feels really hard to nail. Like I've
oh,
had some really
oh,
terrible running shorts in my life. And it's like when you find something that you like, you want to buy it again and again. And I think that that's anyway, I don't know where I went on that tangent,
oh,
but it's like it's you can't y- y- good marketing can only get you so far. You have to have the product that actually really backs that marketing and backs what you're actually saying because turns out people actually test the product. So they're going to be the first ones to know if you know
yeah.
what they bought is what they actually like and love, or that it was just a bunch of air, right?
100%. And I think too with women's running, there are so many different body types
Mm.
that we're trying to serve and accommodate. And I mean, we cannot possibly make the best product for every single person out there, but we can try our best to get as close as possible, right? And so when it comes to, like you said, running shorts, such a simple product in essence, right? But there are so many, when you break it down to, the lining inside the short, the pocket systems, the zippers, the weight of the fabric, how it falls on different hips. I mean, me myself, I'm like a small waist, but I trail run, so I have like glutes and thighs. And so it's like, it's hard to, it takes so much time to find to build the right product. But then as a consumer, like you said, once you find that product, you're going to stick with it. We have one of our um famous, like well-known best-selling shorts is the Roga short, and it's been around for a very long time, and we have very high repeat purchase rate and very specific consumer for that product alone because it's been tried and true, and it's worked for so many people for so long. One of the growth points, or I guess problems to solve for the brand moving into the future for us is um, trying to, I mean, every brand is trying to do this, but new customer acquisition and trying to figure out how to feed sustainably top of funnel, knowing that we have so many consumers that are loyalists and more bottom of funnel, and trying not to alienate them when we're marketing to new people and just balance that. So that's a really
Mhm.
interesting. I know, I mean, we are not the only brand trying to solve that problem, but
Mhm.
it's a fun thing for us to noodle on
And tell me, so you guys are like majority direct to consumer, but
currently.
haven't always been that way. Tell
Yeah.
me, I know you're newer on this team, but tell me a little bit about the history of going, the different business models of being more wholesale, retail focused, and then kind of coming back to direct to consumer and where you are now and maybe where you feel like
Yeah.
the right balance is, or are you there?
We have goals in mind. I'll put it that way. We have goals in mind, I mean, for this year and beyond. But at the moment, yeah, we're primarily D2C. I say primarily, we're mostly D2C, and we have a couple really strong wholesale partners that we've been nurturing for quite a while. Looking into the future, we definitely have big plans to double down on wholesale because it's such a strong channel. And at the end of the day, um, like us as a brand, we're really reprioritizing strength in relationships, and that's what wholesale is. Like at the end of the day, it's strength in those relationships, and we know um, that our consumers are, people are online, but now more than certainly more than ever since COVID, people are indoors, and um, so we're really trying to figure out like what those doors are and who the right partners are wholesale wise for us moving in the future. I mean, women want community, right? And women want to, uh, I'm overgeneralizing, but like want to go to a place of community where there's other women who, or other people, I should say, who understand and value them and can help them, reach their goals, whatever those may be. And the right wholesale partners can definitely help us do that. So, um, that said, we've experienced, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster of understanding pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and post-pandemic. I think when the pandemic hit, people, we didn't know, no one knew what was going to happen. No one knew really um, how customers were going to respond. I mean, when everything shut down, I think there was definitely a lot of brands went through a phase of like, oh gosh, we got to put everything online and pull out of anything in person related and just kind of build a sense of security almost. And so that's what happened to Oiselle at the time. Um we said like a temporary goodbye. We pulled out of quite a few wholesale partners that were important to us. And so it's taken some time to rebuild those relationships. But we've been doing that. We plan to continue doing that and are excited about, yeah, just the opportunities I think that await in that channel in the future when it comes to connecting with women and bringing them together in space.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really interesting thing because they're like D2C is massive right now, but I think the trend is definitely going for a lot of brands is going back to wholesale.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can get a D2C customer without them having to touch the product, right? Like,
Mm.
I think it depends on the person. I shop like majority online, but every once in a while, if it's something a little bit more particular or something that I'm not sure if it's going to fit my body type or if it's a new brand, I want to maybe try that on in person or something like that. Or they better have a good return policy. Um,
Right.
uh, but I mean, I think the cool thing about D2C is like you do get to own that relationship with the customer more, whereas like
Yeah.
when you sell through wholesale, you're kind of once removed and like can you how do you how do you market to them again? How do you stay in touch with them? How do you build that personal relationship?
Mhm.
Um, and uh, and yeah, so I guess I'm curious, what's working for Oiselle right now as far as your D2C marketing efforts? You guys are firing on email, paid, organic,
Mhm.
ambassadors, content creators. Tell me the mix and what's working really well right now. What are you guys leaning into?
Yeah, we're leaning into, I guess I should answer with we're leaning into a strategy that prioritizes different campaigns, and each campaign has a weighted distribution by channel, sort of. So um, for some campaigns, we're leaning more heavily on paid and email. For others, it's more organic and community and um, athlete driven. But we definitely see a lot of success from email and paid right now. Organic is kind of our, um, top of funnel channel mostly for driving brand awareness, but we are in an era of, I mean, transparently, we've relied for like way too long on, we've gotten into a habit, I think, of treating a lot of our channels only as bottom of funnel, and then we kind of get stuck there. And so we're trying to reinvigorate, email with more storytelling, and paid socials trickier with storytelling, but I think email is a big opportunity for us to figure out the best way to um, kind of have a full funnel consumer journey on a single email. So that's like a fun problem to solve at the moment. Um, but we we did just start working with Rigor for paid social. So I will give a shout out to them. They've been awesome. We're excited about that partnership. Um, an affiliate is another really interesting channel that we have not 100% doubled down on yet, but are curious about it in the future, I think. The affiliate's very interesting to me because you can either take it, in more of like a UGC creator direction, or you can, excuse me, kind of make it bigger to more either press or media related, or then you can go the direction of like couponing, which is not necessarily the direction that we're headed. But I think there's a lot of like levers that you can pull with affiliate and still make it um, on brand and not feel too curated or too influencer heavy. So I guess, long answer to your question, or a short answer to your question is we're doing a lot of testing right now with different channels to try and figure out, right now our goal is we're focusing on top of funnel, which feels risky, but we're testing to see like how we can optimize for that
Yeah, yeah.
success there.
Um, well, I love that. What do you think the biggest myth about running a D2C running brand is?
Oh, who? Sometimes D2C brands that, take pride in being that D2C brand can come across, or maybe consumers might interpret them as being a little bit like siloed, um, or closed off, or like, I don't want to say the word elitist, but like less less open, I think. And with that can um, sometimes come like a lack of awareness of what's going on outside of their world of D2C, and maybe sometimes like a lack of listening to the community and what's happening
Mm,
there. I would say that's probably the biggest myth that comes to mind, because I think flipping the narrative, like, to be successful in D2C requires you to have like a very strong pulse of what is happening like in the undercurrent, especially in the running world. It's so, now more than ever, like Substack is the most prominent, I think, social media channel that we need to be listening to, for the undercurrent of what's happening. Otherwise, you miss so many things. You can't just rely on larger like Instagram accounts or even newsletters or either what other brands are doing, it's like you have to have an ear to that like undercurrent murmur.
I feel like that was like the hot tip of the day. It was like, because I didn't even, I feel like it's so true. It's almost like, like Reddit, like, don't sleep on Reddit. It's like, don't sleep on Substack.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes.